He canceled the honeymoon I spent months planning and thousands paying for, just 3 days before the wedding. But instead of crying, I packed my bags and took his brother. Before I begin, if you're into real-life stories full of drama, betrayal, and a little bit of unexpected revenge, you might want to hang around till the end. And if it hits home, show some love with a like, share, or maybe even subscribe. My name's Mia. I thought I was about to marry the love of my life. We met 4 years ago at a friend's barbecue. He was charming, confident, and made me laugh until my cheeks hurt. Everything felt right, and after 2 years, he proposed during a weekend trip in the mountains. It was perfect, or at least I thought it was. We set the wedding date for early spring. I was the one handling most of the planning: flowers, venue, dresses, food, you name it. I even planned the entire honeymoon by myself. It was a 2-week getaway to Greece, something I had dreamed about since I was a teenager. I booked everything months in advance and paid for it out of my savings, down to the last detail. I didn't mind. I was just excited to start our life together. But something started to shift in the last few months. Ethan became distant. He stopped coming home on time, and when I asked where he was, his answers were short. He said work was stressful. He was tired. But I could feel it, that gut feeling that something wasn't right. He also started acting weird about money. We had agreed to keep things open and equal, but suddenly he was asking why I was spending so much, even though it was for the wedding. He'd get snappy if I brought up joint accounts or budgeting. I brushed it off, thinking maybe he was just stressed like he said. I didn't want to nag. I wanted to be supportive. Our families were thrilled about the wedding. My parents loved him. His mom treated me like her own daughter. Everything looked beautiful from the outside. People said we were couple goals. I kept telling myself this was just a rough patch. Then, 3 days before the wedding, Ethan called me while I was finalizing the seating chart. He sounded cold, almost like a stranger. He said, "Mia, I don't think we should go through with it. I'm calling off the wedding, and the honeymoon too." Just like that. No explanation, no apology. Nothing. I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling like the floor had dropped out from under me. I had spent thousands. I had dreams wrapped up in that trip. But I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just packed my suitcase. And I called someone who would never have hurt me the way Ethan did, his brother. The day after Ethan canceled everything, I couldn't get out of bed. My body felt heavy, like I was glued to the mattress. One moment, I was preparing to walk down the aisle, and the next, I was watching everything fall apart like it meant nothing. I kept replaying his voice in my head, flat, emotionless. "It's not the right time for us." That's all he said. No explanation. No effort to talk things through. Just done. My best friend Taylor came over the same afternoon. She didn't ask questions. She just sat with me, brought snacks I didn't eat, and let me cry without saying, "You'll be okay," because we both knew I wasn't okay yet. Ethan's brother, Jordan, also texted me later that night. He wrote, "I don't know what happened, but you didn't deserve that." I didn't answer at first, but it meant something. Jordan had always been kind, more grounded than Ethan. We were never super close, but I always liked having him around during family gatherings. He had this calm energy that made you feel safe. The next few days were a blur. My house was full of wedding decorations I didn't want to look at. Friends and family kept texting me asking what happened, but I had no answer. I hadn't heard a word from Ethan since his cold phone call. Then little things started to click. I remembered Ethan saying he had to work late, but when I called his office once, no answer. Another time, he told me he was out with friends, but his location didn't match up when I saw it on a shared app we used. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but now? Every little inconsistency felt like a red flag I had ignored. I mentioned all this to Taylor and Jordan during a small get-together they dragged me to, trying to lift my mood. Jordan listened quietly. He didn't say much, but I noticed the tension in his jaw when I mentioned some of Ethan's recent excuses. Then came the moment that changed everything. I had gone to Ethan's place to pick up some of my stuff. He wasn't home, or at least I thought he wasn't. As I was gathering my things, I heard voices in the hallway. Ethan's door was cracked open, and I could clearly hear him talking to someone. "I told her it wasn't the right time," he said, laughing a little. "She bought it. I just didn't want to deal with the drama before making things official with Claire." "Claire?" I froze. That was the name of the girl from his office he always said was just a co-worker. I stood there behind the cracked door, heart pounding in my ears. Ethan's voice was clear. He was laughing. "She bought it." Those words burned. And then I heard Claire's voice, low and smug, asking him if I'd finally stopped begging. My stomach twisted. I didn't confront them. I just left, quietly, quickly, numb. At home, I opened my laptop. I knew what I was looking for. I just hadn't had the strength to look before. I started searching through our shared phone plan account. There were dozens of calls to Claire's number at odd hours. Midnight, 2 a.m. lunch breaks that never lined up with his work schedule. I opened our shared cloud folder and found screenshots of text message backups. I don't know why they were still there. Maybe he forgot to turn off sync. That's when I saw them. Flirty messages, pictures, inside jokes. And not from last week or even last month. This had been going on for nearly half a year. He had told her he was handling things with Mia slowly. One message said, "She thinks I'm just stressed." It's almost sad. I sat back in my chair, shaking. It wasn't just cheating. It was months of lying, gaslighting, making me question myself every time I felt something was wrong. Every time I asked, "Are you sure nothing's going on?" And he'd scoff, "You're being dramatic." I saved everything, the texts, the call logs, even a dinner receipt I found where he had taken Claire to a restaurant he told me he hated. Then I called his mom. She sounded confused when I told her. "Hurt," she said. I knew he was acting distant, but I thought he was just nervous about the wedding. I emailed her everything I had. Within a few hours, the whole family knew. Ethan's sister texted me. His cousin called me to check in. Even his dad, who rarely got involved, sent me a short message that simply said, "I'm sorry." Ethan, of course, denied it all. He messaged me saying I was twisting things and acting crazy. He said Claire was just a friend, and I was reading too much into things. But it was too late. I had seen the truth. His lies didn't work anymore. Jordan showed up later that evening. He brought takeout and just sat with me. We didn't talk much at first. I think he knew I was still processing. But then he said something that stuck with me. "You're not crazy. You've been more patient with Ethan than anyone ever should have been." I looked at him and saw something in his eyes I hadn't noticed before. Not just pity or sympathy. It was care. Real care. The kind Ethan hadn't shown me in months. For the first time since it all fell apart, I felt something soft in my chest. Not happiness, but maybe the start of healing. The wedding day came and went like a ghost. No music, no dress, no vows. Just silence. My parents were heartbroken for me, though they tried to stay strong. My mom kept saying, "You didn't lose anything worth keeping." And my dad quietly kept checking on me, pretending he was just bringing tea or checking the thermostat. I sat with them a few days later, going over all the non-refundable expenses. The dress, the food deposit, the photographer. And then the honeymoon, 2 weeks in Greece, already booked, paid, confirmed. My dad asked gently, "Are you going to cancel that too?" I stared at the itinerary in my hand and just shook my head. "No," I said. "Why should I waste something I looked forward to?" At first, everyone assumed I'd bring Taylor. She offered, of course. But she had work and family things, and as the date got closer, it looked like I'd be going alone. I was nervous about it, but something inside me also wanted the space, the change of scene. That's when Jordan called. He hesitated before saying anything, then asked, "Would it be weird if I offered to come with you?" I blinked. "What?" "I mean, not to make it awkward. He paused. "You shouldn't have to go alone. And I've always wanted to see Greece." It caught me completely off guard. But somehow it didn't feel wrong. Jordan had been the one steady person in all. Still, I was unsure. "I don't want it to be complicated," I said. "It won't be," he promised. "No pressure. Just two people needing a break from the mess." After thinking it over, I agreed. The night before we were supposed to fly out, Ethan called me. I almost didn't pick up, but part of me still needed to hear what he had to say. His voice was soft, different from before. "I think I made a mistake," he said. "I wasn't thinking straight. Maybe we could talk." I didn't say anything. Just let the silence stretch. He added, "You don't have to go on that trip. We could meet instead. Try to figure things out." I wanted to scream. After everything, the lying, the cheating, the wedding he threw away like trash. Now he wanted to talk? I took a breath and said, "I'm going on the trip, Ethan, but not alone." Then I hung up. I didn't need to explain anything else. The flight to Greece was quiet at first. Jordan and I sat next to each other, sharing earbuds for a movie neither of us really watched. I caught him glancing at me a few times, maybe checking if I was okay. I didn't cry, not once on that flight. I think my heart had already used up all its tears. When we landed, the air felt different, fresh, warm, full of promise. The sun shimmered off the sea, and for a moment, it almost felt like a real honeymoon. Almost. We checked into the hotel, the same romantic suite I had booked for Ethan and me. The receptionist gave us a little smile when she saw our names. I didn't explain. Neither did Jordan. The first few days were awkward. Not in a bad way, just uncertain. We tiptoed around conversations about Ethan. Jordan gave me space, never pushing, never making it weird. We visited ancient ruins, ate dinner by the water, and took long walks through cobbled streets. Slowly, the air between us started to feel lighter. One night, we sat on the balcony, sipping wine. The breeze carried the sound of laughter from below. I finally asked, "Did you know about Claire?" Jordan shook his head. "No, but I knew Ethan was pulling away. He does that, takes what he wants and pushes people aside when he's done. He's done it since we were kids." I looked at him. "Even with you?" He laughed, but there was no humor in it, especially with me. He told me about their childhood, how Ethan would lie and blame things on him, how he'd charm people into forgiving him while Jordan was left cleaning up the mess. He always got away with everything. I stopped trying to fix him a long time ago. It was strange hearing all this. I'd spent years seeing Ethan through rose-colored glasses. Now, bit by bit, the truth was setting in. And Jordan was helping me find clarity without ever forcing it. One afternoon, we went swimming at a quiet beach. I hadn't laughed in weeks, but something about the way Jordan tried, and failed, to dive properly made me burst out laughing. We played like kids in the water, racing each other, splashing, forgetting for just a while how we'd gotten there. That night, there was live music at a small cafe near the water. People were dancing under string lights. Jordan reached out a hand. Just one dance. I hesitated, then nodded. It wasn't romantic, not exactly, but it wasn't nothing either. He held me gently, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was holding myself together. I just was. We talked late into the night. About life, about what we both wanted. No labels, no pressure. But there was something there. A closeness I hadn't expected. Something that felt like the very beginning of something real. Coming back home felt like stepping into a different world. Greece had been peaceful, like a bubble where none of the drama could reach us. But the second we landed, the messages started pouring in. Friends, family, even distant co-workers. Word had gotten out. Not just that I went on the trip, but that I went with Jordan. I didn't post anything. Neither did Jordan. But someone must have seen us at the airport, or maybe the hotel, and the story started spreading. Some people were supportive. Others weren't so kind. There were whispers of she took his brother, and that's low, even for a breakup. But I didn't know them anything. Then Ethan showed up. He didn't text, didn't call. He just knocked on my door like nothing had happened. I opened it, half expecting it to be a package or a neighbor. And there he was, standing there with a fake calm expression that didn't reach his eyes. "We need to talk," he said flatly. I didn't move. "About what?" "About you and my brother." His voice cracked a little, the calm slipping. "What the hell were you thinking, Mia?" I stared at him. "What was I thinking? You cheated on me, Ethan. You lied to me for months. Don't come here and act like I'm the one who crossed a line." His face twisted. "Jordan's family. That's disgusting. You're trying to embarrass me." Before I could say more, Jordan pulled into the driveway. He saw Ethan and walked up without hesitation. "You need to leave," Jordan said firmly. Ethan turned on him. "You knew how much she meant to me." Jordan cut him off. "No. You don't get to hurt her and then get mad she moved on. You don't get both." The two of them stared at each other, and for a moment, I thought it would get physical. But Ethan just scoffed, shaking his head. "You think you're the good guy now? This is a joke. I'll make sure the family sees it for what it is." He left without another word, slamming the car door and peeling off down the street. Later that week, true to his word, Ethan started trying to turn the family against us. He told them lies, said I seduced Jordan to get revenge, said Jordan had been plotting behind his back. But it didn't work the way he wanted. His mom already knew the truth. His dad had stopped responding to him completely. And more than that, I wasn't hiding anymore. Let them talk. Let them whisper. I had nothing to be ashamed of. The fallout came fast and heavy. Within days of Ethan storming off from my house, his parents called a family meeting. They didn't usually do things like that, but this time, they said it was necessary. Jordan invited me to come. I wasn't sure at first. It felt like walking into enemy territory, but he said, "They want to hear your side too." I sat beside Jordan on the couch while Ethan stood stiff near the wall, arms crossed, jaw tight. His mom, Linda, looked heartbroken. His dad, Charles, looked furious. Linda spoke first. "We raised you better than this," she said to Ethan, her voice trembling. "I saw the messages. The way you spoke about Mia and Claire. I don't even recognize who you've become." Ethan scoffed. "You're all acting like I'm a monster. I just didn't want to get married yet." "You didn't just back out," Charles snapped. "You lied. You cheated. You embarrassed your family and tried to make her feel crazy." The air was thick. Nobody moved. Then Jordan spoke, calm but firm. "This isn't new. You've been doing this your whole life, Ethan. Taking what you want, lying your way through it, letting other people deal with the damage. You always thought you were smarter than everyone, that rules didn't apply to you." Ethan glared at him. "This is about Mia, not your issues with me." "No," Jordan said. "This is about who you've always been, and how people are finally done pretending you're not the problem." That was the last thing said before Ethan walked out. He didn't slam the door this time. He just left quietly. Linda turned to me after a long silence. "You deserved so much better. And I hope you know you'll always have a place in this family." Later that night, Claire messaged me. Her tone was weirdly casual, like we were two girls who had been caught up in a mess they didn't ask for. "I didn't mean for things to happen this way. Ethan told me you were over. I just wanted to say sorry." I stared at her message for a full minute before deleting it. No reply. No explanation needed. That fake apology wasn't for me. It was for her guilt. I wasn't going to help her feel better about what she'd done. The next few weeks were surprisingly peaceful. I spent time with Jordan's family, dinners, movie nights, even a barbecue where Ethan used to be the center of attention. Now the spotlight had shifted. Not to me, exactly, but away from him. I started feeling like I belonged. Not as Ethan's ex, but as someone they respected. Someone who had been hurt and stood tall anyway. With every passing day, I felt a little more like myself again. And Jordan, he never pushed. He just stayed close, like someone who had been waiting for a long time, finally able to show up for real. Months passed, and life slowly found a new rhythm. Jordan and I weren't officially a couple, but we were definitely something. We talked almost every day, saw each other most weekends, and when we were together, it felt easy. Safe. Not rushed or forced, just real. There were moments, quiet ones, where his hand would brush mine or we'd share a long look that lingered just a second too long. But neither of us said anything. I think we were both scared to break whatever soft, careful thing we were building. One afternoon, I got a letter in the mail from the travel agency. I almost tossed it aside, assuming it was more paperwork or a marketing flyer. But when I opened it, my eyes widened. They were issuing me a full refund for the honeymoon. Apparently, after I'd explained the situation and followed up a few times, they had reviewed the case. And because Ethan had been the one to cancel so close to the date, they considered it his fault. The check was more than just money. It felt like justice, like a door quietly clicking shut behind me. I called Jordan to tell him, and he laughed when I read the amount out loud. "You should frame that check," he said. "That's karma with a return policy." As if on cue, the next day, I got another unexpected update, this one from a former coworker of Ethan. She sent me a message saying Ethan had been fired. Apparently, there'd been some inappropriate conduct between him and Claire at work. HR got involved, and it all came crashing down. I didn't feel joy exactly, just a strange sense of balance. Later that week, Jordan and I went on a hike. At the top, overlooking the hills, he finally said it. "I've had feelings for you for a long time," he said softly, "way before Greece. I just never said anything because it didn't feel right. You were with him, and I never wanted to be that guy." I looked at him, heart thudding. "And now I just want to be honest. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know." I didn't answer right away. Not because I didn't feel something, I did. Deeply. But after everything, my heart was cautious. I looked out over the view, took a breath, and said, "I don't know what this is yet, but I don't want to lose whatever we have." Jordan nodded, smiling. "That's enough for me." Looking back, people always ask if taking his brother on the honeymoon was my revenge. But the truth is, it was never about hurting Ethan. It was about refusing to let him break me. He expected me to fall apart, to beg him to come back, to sit in that empty wedding dress and cry over what we lost. Instead, I got on a plane. I lived. I laughed. I started to heal. The real revenge wasn't a plan. It was becoming someone stronger than he ever thought I could be. Months later, Jordan and I decided to take another trip. This time, there was no heartbreak to run from, no ruined wedding or betrayal hanging in the air. This was just us. No explanations, no awkward shadows. We booked a quiet coastal town in Italy. Nothing fancy. Just winding streets, ocean breeze, and time. I remember one morning, we sat at a tiny cafe sipping strong espresso, the sun warming our faces. Jordan reached across the table and took my hand, not like someone testing boundaries, but like someone who had finally arrived. There was no need to hide anymore. That's when it hit me. The worst thing that had ever happened to me, being left days before my wedding, had somehow led me here, to this quiet moment, to this peaceful joy, to this man who showed up when I was at my lowest and stayed, not out of pity or guilt, but because he cared. People think betrayal ruins you, that it leaves you bitter, scared to love again. And yes, for a while it did. I doubted everything. I questioned my own instincts, my worth, my judgment. But what I learned is that betrayal doesn't have to be the end of your story. Sometimes, it's the messy beginning of something better. I don't know exactly when Jordan became more than a friend. Maybe it was the night we danced under fairy lights. Or the first time he made me laugh when I hadn't smiled in days. Or maybe it was just a slow build, brick by brick, made of small kindnesses. Ethan? I barely think about him now. Whatever mess he created with Claire is his to live in. I have no anger left for him, only distance. A memory I walked away from. As Jordan and I watched the sun set over the ocean, I realized something. The revenge everyone talks about, it isn't about getting back at someone. It's about getting yourself back. The girl I was before Ethan? She's gone. But the woman I've become? She's stronger, wiser, and finally free. This was never about a honeymoon. Not really. It wasn't about the beach or the plane tickets or the fancy hotel room with rose petals and champagne. It was about everything that led up to it. The trust, the years I gave, the version of the future I believed in. When Ethan canceled our wedding, I thought my whole story had ended. But what I've learned since then is that sometimes the chapter you're clinging to has to fall apart so the real story can begin. To anyone who's been betrayed, who's been blindsided by someone they trusted, please listen to me when I say this. Don't let someone's cowardice destroy your story. Don't let their inability to love you right convince you that you are unlovable. You are not broken. They are just not your ending. Healing wasn't instant for me. It didn't come all at once in some dramatic scene. It came in pieces, a laugh shared over coffee, a quiet evening where I didn't feel like crying, a slow walk where I could finally breathe again. It came with patience, with choosing peace over pain, and with letting go of people who never deserved me in the first place. Jordan wasn't the plan. Falling for him wasn't revenge or rebellion. It was the unexpected beginning I never saw coming. He didn't fix me. He met me where I was. He gave me space to heal, and in that space, love grew naturally, without pressure or pretense. As for Ethan, I don't hate him. I don't need to. Life has a way of dealing with people like him. From what I've heard, he's alone now. Claire left, the job's gone, and the charm he used to rely on isn't working anymore. Karma didn't come loudly. It came quietly, like a door closing behind him when no one noticed he'd left the room. That's not my story anymore. My story is full of soft mornings, honest conversations, and love that feels safe. It's full of people who show up, who don't make me question my worth. And it's just beginning. So if you're standing in the middle of your own heartbreak, thinking this is the end, let me tell you, it's not. The end of what you thought you had might just be the start of something better than you ever imagined. You just have to be brave enough to turn the page. What would you have done in Mia's place? Would you have given Ethan another chance, or walked away just like she did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear what you think. And if stories like this keep you hooked, make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you're always updated when a new one drops.